Rain hammered against the city sidewalks as Ethan Hayes pushed the mop along the marble floor of the boutique hotel lobby. The night shift was quiet, too quiet for a man whose instincts had been sharpened by years nobody here knew about. To everyone else, he was just the single dad janitor doing an honest job. To his daughter Lily, he was the entire world. To his past, he was a ghost. Lily slept upstairs in the staff housing room, curled into a nest of blankets, her sketchbook by her side. Ethan checked the time, 11:48 p.m. Another few hours and he could join her. That was the plan, but fate rarely cared about plans. The elevator chimed and a woman stepped out, dripping rainwater and exhaustion. Tall, poised, wrapped in a soaked designer coat. Ethan recognized her from the news, Amelia Hartwell, the youngest self-made millionaire on the West Coast. Tech genius, philanthropist, woman who could buy the entire hotel if she felt like it. She didn't look invincible now. She looked hunted. Her eyes darted around the lobby, and when they landed on Ethan, something like relief flickered for a moment, then immediately vanished. She hurried past him toward the exit as if running from something she couldn't outrun. Before he could think, the lobby doors burst open. Two men entered, black coats, expressionless. Their eyes locked onto Amelia with predatory precision. Ethan didn't move. He simply watched. Most people would panic. Most would call for help. But Ethan wasn't like most people. His mind had already mapped the room, calculated the distance between the men and Amelia, and predicted the likely outcome if nobody intervened. And then Amelia did the worst possible thing. She froze. The taller man pulled something from his coat, subtle enough that the cameras wouldn't detect it, but unmistakable to Ethan, an injector. Not a weapon for show. A weapon for ending things quietly. Ethan acted before his brain even acknowledged the decision. He dropped the mop, crossed the lobby in 3 long strides, grabbed Amelia by the wrist, and pulled her firmly into him. She gasped as he pressed her back against one of the stone pillars, shielding her from the men's direct line of sight. "What are you?" she began, but Ethan placed a steady finger against her lips. "They can't see your face," he whispered. "But they saw you stop. If they think you recognized them, you're dead." Her heartbeat thumped against his chest. "Who are you?" "That's complicated," he murmured. "Right now, you're going to trust me." The men scanned the lobby, but Ethan kept his head lowered, positioning his body as a barrier. They started approaching. Ethan realized he had seconds. Only one way to shift suspicion. "Don't panic," he breathed. "Why?" He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It was strategic. He angled his head so the men would see only a couple hidden behind a pillar, lost in a moment, not a woman on the run. Amelia stiffened in shock, then slowly, realizing what he was doing, placed one hand on the back of his neck, leaning into the act. To sell it, to survive. The men paused, uncertain. Ethan kissed her deeper, his hand cradling her jaw with a tenderness that didn't match the danger around them. Amelia felt warmth bloom beneath her ribs, confusing her, terrifying her, grounding her. Then the men turned and walked out. Ethan pulled back immediately, breath controlled. "We need to move, now." Amelia swallowed, touching her lips. "Why did that feel like you've done this before?" "Because I have." He took her elbow. "Service exit. Come on." They slipped through the back corridors. Amelia kept glancing at him. "You work here," she whispered. "But you move like someone who doesn't." Ethan kept walking. "Bad habits from a past life." She hesitated. "They were trying to kill me." "I know. And you recognized the injector." "I did." "How?" He stopped, turned. His eyes were calm. Too calm. "Tell me what you did today." Amelia looked away. "I signed a contract. One worth billions. And who lost because of that?" "A defense conglomerate," she admitted. "I outbid them for a satellite project." Ethan muttered a quiet curse. "Then they won't stop." "Who the hell are you?" she demanded again. He didn't answer. Instead he led her to the loading dock. But the moment he touched the door handle, something warm and metallic splattered against it. Gunshot. Ethan yanked her down behind a crate. "They're back." "No," he said softly. "These are different men." She stared at him. "How can you tell?" "They're quieter." Her chest tightened. "You're not a janitor." "Tonight I am." He checked the shadows. "Stay behind me." He scanned the narrow alley. 2 shooters, 1 lookout. Professional. Silent communication. Military precision. Ethan inhaled slowly, exhaled even slower. Amelia watched him, realization dawning. You're military. Was. What rank? Off book. That's not an answer. Wasn't meant to be. She touched his sleeve. My God. The kiss. You risked your life for me. I didn't have time to explain. And now, I have even less time. He pushed her back into the building and shut off the lights. Complete darkness swallowed them. Ethan. He put a finger to her lips again. They have night vision. I have muscle memory. In total silence, he guided her hand to his belt. Hold on. Before she could ask why, he moved. A crash, a grunt, a thud, another crack of bone. Amelia couldn't see anything, but she felt everything. The speed, the force, the control. When the lights flickered back on minutes later, the men were unconscious. Ethan wasn't even breathing hard. Amelia stared at him in disbelief. Who trained you? People who don't exist. You're lying. Not entirely. He picked up one of the men's comm devices. They were here for you. But they didn't expect me. You knew they were coming. I suspected. Why? Ethan hesitated, his jaw tightening. Because of who I used to be. Amelia took a shaky breath. Tell me. He didn't answer. Instead, he took her hand. We have to get Lily. Lily, my daughter. As he led her upstairs to the staff rooms, Amelia's pulse softened. A military assassin with a child. It didn't make sense. Until she saw Lily asleep in her small bed, clutching a stuffed bear missing an eye. Ethan lifted her gently, the hardness in him evaporating like it had never been there. We need to leave, he whispered to his sleeping daughter. Amelia's heart clenched. What happened to her mother? She whispered. Ethan didn't look at her. A mission that went wrong. I'm sorry. Me too. They made their way to the rooftop. Rain slanted across the skyline. Amelia shivered. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. You talk like someone who always has a plan. I do. And a backup. And a backup for the backup. She almost laughed despite the fear. You're insane. That's what they told me during my evaluations. Who? He looked at her then, with eyes that had seen too much and buried even more. Project Viper. Amelia froze. But that program was erased, he finished. They said the operatives died. Most did. And you survived. Didn't want to. His voice turned hollow. But I had Lily. The truth crashed over her like a wave. The way he moved. The way he calculated threats. The kiss that saved her life. He wasn't just a veteran. He was one of the government's most dangerous classified assets. And now he was protecting her. A helicopter spotter beam swept across the roof. Ethan shielded Lily instinctively. They found us. Amelia grabbed his arm. We can't outrun a helicopter. We're not. We're going through it. What? But Ethan was already moving, leading them down to the mechanical level just below the roof. The helicopter hovered, scanning. Rain turned the air into misty glass. They'll land soon, Amelia warned. Exactly. Ethan pulled out a flare gun from an emergency kit. Their vision will reset for 3 seconds after this. What do we do in 3 seconds? Change our lives. The helicopter descended. Ethan fired. A burst of white-orange brilliance seared the sky, blinding the sensors. The helicopter jerked sideways, clipped an antenna, and spiraled, not crashing, but forced into an emergency landing on the adjacent building. Amelia stared at Ethan like he'd rewritten physics. He turned to her. We have a window. She grabbed his shirt. Why are you doing this? You could have walked away the moment they targeted me. He looked at her with a softness she hadn't expected. Because you looked like someone who hadn't been helped in a very long time. Amelia's throat tightened. And the kiss? She asked quietly. He exhaled. That was just survival. But his eyes said otherwise. They reached the fire escape and hurried downward, Lily's small head on Ethan's shoulder. Sirens wailed in the distance as agents scrambled. Halfway down the alley, Amelia suddenly stopped. I can't keep running. They'll just come again. Not after tonight, Ethan said. You have evidence. The injector. The comm device. The satellite bid records. I can get them to the right people. You're not supposed to exist. How can you help me legally? I can't. His gaze softened. But I can protect you until someone else can. She stepped closer. Rain trickled between them. You saved my life, Ethan. You deserve one worth saving. And you, what about me? You deserve more than hiding behind a mop and pretending to be ordinary. He smiled. Small, weary, real. Ordinary keeps Lily safe. You deserve love too, she whispered. He froze. Then Lily stirred in his arms. Daddy. Who's she? Amelia smiled gently. A friend. Ethan swallowed hard. The friend we're helping stay safe. Lily blinked at her father. Like you helped mommy. Ethan's heart cracked in his eyes. He kissed Lily's forehead. Yeah, baby. Like that. Amelia felt her breath hitch. Ethan wasn't just a warrior. He was a man trying to build a life from ashes. They reached the end of the alley, where the street turned calm, almost peaceful. Amelia stepped in front of him. When you kissed me to save my life, something happened. That wasn't supposed to mean anything. It did. She placed her hand on his cheek, rain dripping from her lashes. You don't have to be Viper anymore. You can be Ethan. You can be a father. And maybe, you can be something to me too. Ethan didn't move, didn't breathe. Finally, in a voice barely above the rain, he said, Amelia, if I start feeling again, I don't know if I can stop. She leaned closer. Then don't. And this time, when they kissed, it wasn't strategy. It was truth. Between danger and fate, between past and future, between survival and hope, his real identity wasn't a weapon, a rank, or a ghost. It was a man who finally chose to live. And for the first time in years, Ethan Hayes let himself believe he deserved it.